Better home, and the first thing we need to do is take care of the business people to make sure that they're able to do their business without any harassment. And especially, I'll give an example of the hawkers. The hawkers, they go in the evening to do the hawking business. So when I'm the governor, I'll make sure that the hawkers are not harassed. In the evening from 5 p.m., we'll have some roads closed and allow the hawkers to do their business without any harassment. On the other hand, we'll also take care of the business sector, like the industry. We shall have dialogue with the business owners, and we see how we can improve the business or how we can make their work easier. On the other hand, we'll also work together with the industry owners to see how we can engage or how we can put some of our unemployed people into work for those industries. And apart from that, I'm also going to make sure that there is water. Water distribution is taken care of, because when we have water, we can encourage the Nairobi people even to do the family farming or the balcony farming. So with that, we are able to get some food available.
Your time is up, but I'll add you 30 seconds just to come clear on something. You said you're going to work on making sure that hawkers are not harassed. And you know that some hawkers operate without the necessary requirements. Some dodge, the procedures that they ought to be going through to be able to operate a business lawfully within Nairobi. How are you seeking to make sure that they are not harassed, yet a big percentage of them operate without the licenses that are required, without paying any dues to the county? How are you planning to make this organized?
I do believe with dialogue, everything is possible. I'll have dialogue with hawkers, and we see how we can stay together in the city of Nairobi, how they can do their businesses and they make money, they support their families, and how we can also charge a little fee which is affordable for them.
Okay, thank you for your time. I come to you, Esther Waringa Thairo. On governance, it has underneath a lot of thematic areas, and the question of corruption comes up when you mention money in the city of Nairobi, and it seems endemic. What will be your approach?
Well, with corruption, I know it's an issue that is big. I'm looking at, when I become a governor, I'll be in partnership with some bodies like DCI, EACC, where anybody who is employed, before they get the employment, they are vetted, and they should be people of integrity. I'm also looking at cutting down the loopholes of cartels. The cartels that are done that affect this city. One, we know that in the lands, Ministry of Land, land issue, it's an issue, especially when it comes to land that is allocated to the county. I would also look at the functions of what is happening, especially with the land in leasing, because most of the land's lease expires in 99 years, and we find that there are some places that they don't pay. They don't pay any lease because the leases were not renewed. So there are several things that I would look at in terms of closing those gaps of corruption and working towards making this city a city that is corruption-free.
Okay, I add you 30 seconds before my colleague comes in with the next question to the next candidate. And you have mentioned cartels. Seems this is a cliche. Who are they by definition?
Cartels are managed by people who are just those people we have elected, because they have mechanism of owning most of the businesses around. The local businesses are owned by people who are in power. So the cartels fall there. So if there is any tender or there is any garbage collection, you find that those companies are not owned by the local person. They are owned by people who are already in positions.
Your time is up. I come to Kenneth Nyamwamu, and this is very important because when we talk about finances, these are the taxes the Kenyan people pay, and they expect services, including not only Nairobi, but across the 47 devolved units in the country. Do you understand the regulations and the finance management in terms of managing the resources in Nairobi County?
The answer is yes, I do. So, I mean, if I may get you correctly, you're trying to ask me if we understand the way to manage finances?
Correct.
I know, I do, because I am a business owner, and I've run my business successfully for the last 2 years. So I understand how to manage finances, how to pay people on time, which the city of Nairobi needs to learn how to pay people on time and not be holding salaries for 3-6 months until people go to the streets. The city of Nairobi also needs to learn how to pay their bills on time. The other day I passed City Hall, and the whole City Hall didn't have electricity. So we need to get there so that we can pay our bills on time, pay our people on time, and ensure that revenue is collected in an efficient manner, a manner that's free of harassment from the people. In my administration, I am going to eliminate any form of the City Hall askaris arresting people in terms of people who are trying to eke a living. I think it's wrong to criminalize somebody trying to eke a living, whether they are saying on the street corner or not. We just need to get a place for them to do their business.
And your time is up. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much for that. Now we move to the next topic that we wanted to interrogate you on. And at this particular point, we assume that now that you want to be the county top boss, you know what are the requirements under the Chapter 6 of the Constitution on Leadership and Integrity. Most of you, in your opening remarks, and even while responding to the questions we've asked you, have really talked very passionately about fighting corruption. I'd like to start with you, Esther. Just tell me a bit about the how you're going to approach the war against corruption in Nairobi County.
Well, first of all, I'll look at distribution of resources. People have to give a budget on how they're going to spend the money. I'm also going to look at the tender awarding. It should be something that should be open and transparent, where you gazette every project that is going to be undertaken by the county government, and communicate even through the social media. Also give a feedback on who has been awarded, how much the project is going to be, and at what duration are they expected to finish the job. Because you find that most projects that are given out, we spend so much money and yet the projects are never finished. So that is a big loophole on curbing down the corruption. So that is what I would look at in terms of that.
And your time is up. Thank you very much.
Okay. Hamansin Grewal, I come to you. As a FINA party member, the question of corruption has been a hallmark in this city. And when we look at the single, for example, business permits, the deficit is 912,362,049 shillings, nearly $1 billion Kenya shillings. What's your approach in terms of addressing this deficit, which is only 64% of the required 100%?
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, in terms of corruption and also the business permits, I cannot stress the value of IT. Because IT allows us to track everything that we're required to. Whether it comes to movement of finance, whether it comes to business permits, we can use geo mapping using Google Maps, and we can track businesses that are currently operating in different areas based on traction and M-Pesa movement, and we can understand that there's a business operating there. But that comes down to investigation. Also, another point I wanted to bring in is if I'm dealing with corruption, I've seen a lot of people are stressed out by KRA investigators. Mm-hmm. Why are KRA investigators not also the investigators for corruption in Kenya? So I feel that as Nairobi governor, I will digitize a lot of operation in terms of tracking, investigation, and further I will bring in the investigative abilities of KRA into my office. Thank you.
Okay. How do you coordinate then with the Kenya Revenue Authority, which is the mandated national body, the taxman, yet you have a financial autonomy as a devolved unit in the event the people of Nairobi give you that mandate. Where is the striking of the balance between the KRA, the Kenya Revenue Authority, as you have mentioned, and the county finances in terms of the collection of the revenue?
Okay. So the question is based on bringing in KRA investigators in, right? So as a country, we're collaborative. We're one unit. Granted, we have devolution that did take place where we separated the powers of operation. We can still collaborate with different organizations. What we can do is simply have a recruiting process where we can have employees also be transferred from KRA to the Nairobi County to investigate corruption and operation of the state. So that's one of the ideas I had in mind. Also, we don't have to entirely transfer them. Something we can also do is simply borrow them occasionally to conduct certain investigations, to also have proper auditing of operation. So I feel like we have a very skilled workforce in Kenya, whether they're in KRA or they work as accountants in the private organizations. Through collaboration, we can bring together all these brilliant minds and solve the problems we're currently dealing with together as a nation. Thank you.
Mr. Nyamwamu.
Yes.
Corruption has been something that has tainted the image of Nairobi County, which many see as something that should be the city under the sun. That is how, ideally, that is the space that Nairobi should be occupying. But that is not the case, partially because of issues such as corruption. As you seek this mandate, what loopholes have you identified, and how do you seek to seal them?
First things first, I think we are not serious in our fight against corruption. That's how I feel. We have the EACC, we have the DCI, we have this body, that body, but still money gets lost. The solution is not to form another body. In fact, I agree. In fact, I would like for Wajakoya to be president so that we can hang every one of these people. Because we just dance around this issue, nobody gets held accountable. We have a gubernatorial candidate that has been cleared with fake papers, and we just dance around this issue. So how do we expect to fight corruption where we don't do anything about it? For me, the solution is to go the Wajakoya way. If you are corrupt, we send you to the gallows. Next man up. You are corrupt, go to the gallows. I think that's the only way we can deal with it.
You've talked about a case that is yet to be determined, but I'd let that go because that case is yet to be concluded.
Yeah, but we dance around these issues. See, that's the thing, that's the problem.
And I also don't see how that relates with the issue of
we just dance around
corruption.
these issues. The EBC or the IEBC said they don't have the mandate. Yet, they send me home because I had a foreign certificate. That guy in a commission that wrote for him his certificate, he couldn't look at my own certificates until he had seen my high school certificate. There is no correlation between a high school certificate and a graduate certificate. But he couldn't look at mine, yet we have a gubernatorial candidate who has been cleared by the same commission. So anyway, the issue I'm saying is we dance around this issue of corruption, but nobody wants to take affirmative action.
I just want to stay on that matter for a bit before we move. So you mean as governor you will be helpless just because institutions are not working? So you cannot do anything to fight corruption? That is what you're saying tonight?
No, that's not what I'm saying. As governor, I'll do my part.
What will you do? That was the question.
I will not appoint anybody in my government who has been implicated or who has a case pending, or who has been implicated in a corruption scandal. If you don't do that, people are just going to go to court because the mantra is you are innocent until proven guilty, and then they just dance around that issue, and that issue is not solved. So on my part, I will not appoint anybody who's tainted. I will only work with people with clean hands. Let the EACC dance until the day they decide to work.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ms. Nancy Wambui Mwadime, what then will be your approach in effectively sealing the loopholes of financial malfeasance in Nairobi County?
My approach is that when I get
Just
You can
sorry to cut. Just
adjust
pull
your
your,
mic.
yeah.
You can
So we
adjust your microphone at your place of comfort. Feel free. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, the approach I want to give is that in the county government management, I am going to work with every place in Nairobi. Like in Nairobi, we have the Somalis, we have the Indians, we have even the white people who are citizens of Kenya, and they are also in Nairobi. So in my county government, I'm going to include everyone in the management so that we're able to seal the loophole even whereby corruption come through. Because corruption cases, it's done by not by one person, by two people who come together and agree. So when you put every lace in the management, we are able not to agree on the long things, especially the corruption. And as I would want to say is that myself, I'm not corrupt, and therefore anyone who will work under me.
Your time is up. And I add you 30 seconds, but on clarity basis, Ms. Nancy Mwadime, when you talk about the ethnicities, in this case appreciating the cocktail nature of this county, which is a reflection of the country entirely, is the problem inclusion or governance in your view in addressing the question I posed?
When I include everybody in the management, I believe that we are able to coordinate, even in the area of the finances. We are getting all the revenue coming in the county government.
Is it about the color of your skin or about your character?
No,
The
it's not
issue of
about
corruption.
the color.
So why talk about race? Why talk about including all the people in your management?
It's not about the race. It's saying that Nairobi, we all of us, we are Nairobians, Indians, white people. I think if I'm not wrong, I'm not seeing white people in the county government, and we have them as citizens. So that's what I'm trying to say, that in my government, I'll have a good number of white people, a good number of Indians, a good number of Somalis, and all of us together.
Is their absence the reason why we have huge corruption cases at Kenya's capital? The absence of certain races in the management of the county, the reason why corruption still exists in Nairobi?
I believe the corruption still exists because when you put the same people of same, then they are able to agree together and agree that they can do ABC and they're able to accomplish. But when...
Thank you for your time. And when we get back from this break, the debate continues, and we thank you for your time and responding to the questions and also the thematic areas that are yet to be exhausted, and will continue after the break. The debate continues.
Let's start with one dream, one goal, one deposit, and one transaction. Pamoja, let's make it happen. So don't just bank with us, bank on us.
Yes, Timo.
Enroll at Catholic University of Eastern Africa for courses in nursing, law, business, economics, computer science, education, community health and development, actuarial science, international relations, counseling psychology, regional integration, and theology. September intake ongoing at Langata and Eldoret campuses. Email admissions@quer.edu or visit quer.edu. Quer for innovative, marketable graduates.
I think the most important quality of a leader is wisdom, so that the decisions that are being made now, he knows how, it's like a chess player who sees 10 moves ahead.
Unajua wakati ambapo mlipa ushuru analipa ushuru wake, anataka aone angalau kazi ya pesa yake ambayo anailipia. Pesa tunaamini kwa zinaishia kwa mifuko za watu binafsi.
I think it's important that wealth is declared frequently, and if people have found ways to accumulate wealth very quickly, absolutely good for them, as long as, of course, that is done honestly and ethically.
We need leaders who are well educated to understand the challenges that we face in the modern world.
Kwa mfano, mtu mwenye amesomea ukandarasi wa barabara, mkiwa na kiongozi ambaye amesomea hiyo taaluma, una uhakika kwamba barabara za eneo lako zitakuwa zina usimamizi mzuri.
Karibu CAM. By offering market linkages, networking opportunities, and technical assistance, Kenya Association of Manufacturers assists its members to grow and scale up their businesses. Join us and let us work together to grow the manufacturing sector. Becoming a CAM member is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Kenya Association of Manufacturers, driving global competitiveness.
What is a secondary school in Kenya? It ranges from 106 high-cost national schools, educating 3% of the learners, where you find ultra-modern libraries and laboratories, the most experienced principals and teachers, and the best teacher-student ratios. Then we have 7,019 some barely established, understaffed, lacking basic facilities sub-county schools, educating over 60% of learners. Given that KCSE is the most consequential examination in our education system, isn't it fair that we level the ground for all learners to excel by narrowing the capacity gaps between the worst and best schools to deliver quality education? Usawa Agenda calls for a sub-county schools upgrading program and a change from the capitation model to enable small schools to grow. Without these, SDG 4 is a false promise to most Kenyan children.
We shall legalize weed.
Professor George Luchiri Wajakoya of the Roots Party.
Semeni Babakea. Babakea.
Raila Amolo Odinga of the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Party.
Unajua mimi sina pesa ya serikali ama ya kashfa.
David Mwaure Wahiga of the Agano Party. And
tunasema kazi ni nini?
William Samoei Ruto of the Kenya Kwanza Alliance. Presidential Debate 2022. Do not adjust your sets. Agnes Kagure, Independent. Cleophas Kiyo, Ford K. Dennis Kode, LDP. Esther Thairu, Independent. Herman Growell, Safina. Johnson Sakaja, UDA. Kenneth Nyamwamu, UPA. Nancy Mwadime, Usawa kwa Wote. Polycarp Igathe, Jubilee. What would you like to ask your Nairobi gubernatorial candidate? Send your questions on a video to the WhatsApp number 0796 560 560. You can also text your question to 22843. The Nairobi gubernatorial debate live from the Catholic University from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. Monday, 11th July.
Welcome back. You're watching the Nairobi Gubernatorial Debate live, coming to you from the Catholic University of Eastern Africa in the county of Nairobi. And we are with Esther Waringa Thairo, who is an independent candidate seeking the top job in the county. We also have Herman Sain Growell, who is a member of the Safina Party. We also have Kenneth Nyamwamu, who is a member of the United Progressive Alliance Party, and Nancy Wamboi Mwadime.
All right, we'd also wish to remind you that we extended invitations to all the 9 candidates who are vying for the Nairobi top seat. And of course, we have with us 4 of them for the first debate lined up for the night. Remember, later on, we'll be taking you through the second debate also, as we just lay it all bare. Who carries the vision for Nairobi County? Who among the ladies and gentlemen before us tonight has what it takes to become the next governor? But we just want to move on with this debate, and Right about now, we want to look at the governance of the city, and I'll just come to you, Mr. Nyamwamu. The extension of deed of transfer of functions that was signed between the Nairobi City County and the national government elapses on the 24th of August, of course preceded by a 3-month extension period to tackle what is called the transition. If elected governor, how do you plan on handling this transition? And also, how do you seek to sustain the relationship between the national government and the county government, and which areas will you be doing that on?
Is this in relation to the NMS?
Yes.
First of all, we shouldn't be having NMS running Nairobi County to begin with. That's not how our democracy was set up. We're supposed to be ruled, it's supposed to be by the people. It's the people supposed to decide, they elect somebody and that person runs, they give the person the mandate to run the county. Now, we have NMS, and my hope is when I get in, we'll have a transition for them to, we'll have a lay-down transition for them to exit and let the Nairobi County be run by the elected officials. It had a lot to do with the previous governor, but now when we get in, we are making sure that the NMS will hand over the function to the county government so that it's run by the duly elected officials. That's how our democracy is set up, and that's how we are going to work.
Your time is up, but I'll add you 30 seconds. Nairobi is Kenya's capital.
Yes.
And also it is like the headquarters.
Yes.
Do you want to tell me it's not important to have a relationship between these two levels of government, the national government and the county government, considering the fact that it is the capital of the entire country?
The county has its own, they have their own responsibilities. Why should Nairobi be partly run by the NMS while Kisumu, which is also another county, is fully run by a governor? I don't think that's fair. Our mandate dictates that you let the county be ran by the person that's been duly elected. I understand why the NMS was there, but that's not how our democracy is set up. Why should Nairobi be chosen to be run by NMS and not Migori, for example?
Okay, your time is up. Herman Grewal, the law under Article 187 anticipates cooperation between the national government and the county government. And we have spoken about the NMS and how it came about. Would you have done what the ex-governor did in handing over 4 key functions to the national government?
Well, if you look at the history of NMS and why it was created, first of all, I would like to thank His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta for pushing for the creation of NMS, because he saw that Nairobi was in a state of chaos. And it was the sort of emergency response we needed. I'm sure all of you can agree, if you look at the success of NMS, it's something that we can be proud of. NMS has accomplished what the governor is supposed to accomplish. And NMS was a substitute for the governor, meaning that we need to move back into our normal state of operation. And we had the separation of powers so that we can allow elected leaders for certain areas be in charge of those areas. If we elect someone for a county, it would not be fair, just, or constitutional to have the president be running that county entirely. There must be collaboration, and we will transition in a peaceful and positive way.
Okay, your time is up, but I add you 30 seconds for clarity. And there seems to be no response to my question, and I need clarity on this. If accorded the mandate by the people of Nairobi County, would you have done what the former governor did at State House in February 2020?
I feel that given the situation we were in at the time, it did make sense, but it did happen because of the governor's actions. So I feel that if I'm responsible as a governor, I wouldn't allow us to reach that state. But if we are in that state, we must be responsible as leaders and say, I've made a mistake. I'm not delivering as a leader. And take a step back so that our country can prosper. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Nancy Mwadime. How do you plan on sustaining the relationship between the two levels of government, considering the fact that you're vying on an usawa kwa wote party ticket, assuming the government is taken over by somebody who, a party that is not in your political camp? What will you do and how will you sustain this relationship?
I'll be able to maintain the relationship because the two bodies, the national government and county government, we need one another, and each body has its own role to play. The national government, the county government, because even some of the assignments which are done by the county government work in relation with the national government. So what I would say is that I'll maintain the relationship, and where necessary, we shall work together. And at times, for example, with NMS, I would say that the county government, with a good leader, we have all what we need in the county government. We have workers from top, from the engineers to the accountant to the officers. So what I would say that with good leadership, the county government can be able to manage.
Thank you. Your time is up.
Okay. Esther Waring, I come to you. And owing to the importance of the close cooperation needed between the national government and the counties, because the understanding is that the two levels of government are meant to provide services for the people of the Republic of Kenya who hold the sovereignty under Article 1 of the Constitution. What will be your approach between the relationship between State House and City Hall?
Well, a leadership of a nation, even though it has different bodies, it's still one, because the objective is for the interest of the people who have the sovereign power. So I see that in partnership and consultation, we can really work, the county government and the State House, because everything that is done, the functions could be different because of devolution, but it is workable with partnership. Let me give an example. The county government holds the EAC level of education, but that does not stop a county governor to be in partnership with the national government to build a school. So I find that it's more of a consultation and partnership over leadership, and that will work.
I add you 30 seconds, and clearly then tell me, the education docket is budgeted for 520 billion